Don't forget, ko-fi.com/stopwritingalone is a real simple way to show your support for what's going on here week after week. Hi everyone, this is Nicole Rivera and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast for writers who are looking for their writing community. I know you want to find readers for your work, but I think your first step is to connect with other writers. That's what we're going to do here in the Stop Writing Alone podcast. We'll do writing prompts and other writing group activities, discover online writing communities, learn how to find local writing groups, or how to make your own. Join us as we explore, learn, and write. Hey everyone, this is another Flashback episode with a little bit of forward thinking. So I get into this mode of I interviewed somebody on the podcast and I assume that everybody knows this person because I've already spoken to that person, especially when I think back to interviews that I did very early on. And I'm realizing now, well, when you've interviewed somebody in episode 7 and you're on episode 134, there's a slight possibility that someone might have missed that one. Maybe, and you're not checking out Stop Writing Alone from the very beginning. So today I want to share with you an interview that I did do back on episode 7 of the cozy mystery author Tamara Woods. Now, I'll get into the whole intro in a minute of who Tamara Woods is, but the reason why I wanted to bring this interview to you specifically this week is because over on her YouTube channel on Saturday, so this Saturday, August 14th, 2021 at 1 p.m. Eastern, Tamara is going to be hosting an author platform writers workshop. I'm looking so forward to this. I'm not sure that I'm going to actually be able to watch it live, but I know she's going to have it up on her YouTube. And if you haven't been to her YouTube, it is a must subscribe for writers because she's on there all the time, not only doing fun events like write-ins and being active with the community, but she also has her own YouTube series for writers, always thinking of us and always sharing with us and working with other writers as well. But this event this Saturday is specifically looking at your author platform, as she is creating an author platform for another pen name that she's using. She's taking this opportunity that while she's learning to also share it with us. So again, this Saturday, August 14th, 2021 at 1 p.m. Eastern, author platform writers workshop. I will have a link in the show notes for her YouTube channel so that you can make sure that you're ready to watch that. She's at Pen Paper Pad on pretty much everything. So you want to check her out on Instagram, you can find her there, or on Twitter, Pen Paper Pad, and you can follow along and get updates there. But definitely you also want to check out her AuthorTube and be there this Saturday, or like me, catch it on the replay on the YouTube channel. But here is a replay of this wonderful interview with Tamara, where she shares with us not only her process for writing, but her process for creating and connecting with writing community over the years in her cozy mystery, in her poetry, in all the things that she does, in the various states that she's lived in. Once you listen to this episode, there's really like no excuse for you not to be reaching out and finding writing community of your own. It's really one of my favorite interviews for this conversation on empowering yourself to find your own writing community. So if you haven't heard it before, it is my esteemed pleasure to share it with you once again. Hey everyone, welcome back to Stop Writing Alone. This week I have an interview with Tamara Woods. She's a poet. She's written horror. She just released a cozy mystery. And if that weren't enough, she's doing wonderful things for the writing community online. I know her best as the community leader behind writestuff. That's hashtag WRITESTUFF, which has a Twitter chat every Tuesday evening, but it also has a Facebook community alongside it. But once I started doing the research for this interview, I realized it did not stop there. She also has this amazing YouTube channel that's been going on for I don't know how long, where she continues to connect with the writing community, whether it's during Nanowrimo or upcoming next month for Camp Nanowrimo, or even just this new writing workshop that she started where a bunch of her writer friends and her are having sort of like a book club for books on writing. You can subscribe to her newsletter. You can follow her in all these wonderful places. She's at Pen Paper Pad. But let me stop talking. Let's get to the interview. Let's hear her story, where she began, how she got here, and get a real close look at everything she's got to give. I hope you enjoy. Happy listening. Well, hi, Tamara, and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us here at Stop Writing Alone. I really am honored, and I feel very grateful to have you here today. Before we get started, I guess if you could just give the listeners a little rundown of who you are, and I guess what they are going, a little snapshot of what they could be learning today from the wonderful Tamara Woods.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting. So, my name is Tamara Woods, and I am an independent author. And I guess I'm a person who's very much involved in the writing community. And I do that through a tweet chat. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm very active on social media. So, I guess we're going to be talking about community building, maybe?
I pretty much all of it. I mean, I do want to just talk to you about your writing too. You're a poet as well as you just have this is a mystery that you just came out with.
Yes, a cozy
A
mystery.
cozy mystery. Very exciting. I'm excited about both because I'm not well versed in writing mystery at all myself. And the same goes for poetry. I definitely had the teenage angsty stuff going on back in the day, but I can't say that I'm well versed in poetry right now. And I know I have a lot of people that always come to me either in my local writing group or even in Stop Writing Alone saying, "Oh, I write poetry. Is it okay if I come to your group?" And I'm always open to that. Of course, I want, everyone to come, but I'm just wondering where you find your community when it comes to poetry. Any advice that you can give to the poets out there looking for their community and how to connect with other poets?
When I was trying to find other poets and people in general, first I started with finding people in the town that I'm in.
Mm.
So I looked for open mic nights where there might potentially be poets who would be performing. Here, there's a very big monthly like poetry slam that happens. So I'm in Honolulu in case anyone's interested. So I would attend that. But that was fairly intimidating because you'd be getting on stage in front of a crowd of about 300 people.
Yeah, I see those around here all the time. I'm in New York, so of course there's open mic all the time, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And I know it's a great place to find fellow writers for sure. But yeah, how did you do that?
I did it after I'd gone a few times and I
Okay,
was feeling comfortable with the venue.
that's a great
Then
idea.
I
Yeah.
did it. But it was very intimidating because it
Hmm.
felt like I was just like a very tiny beta fish,
Hmm.
like this very big pond. But fortunately, here at least, everyone's really welcoming and nice. So
Right.
I didn't feel that uncomfortable other than just my own insecurities. But, that's on me.
Right. Well, I
Uh,
think it's on all of us.
When I was living in Morgantown, West Virginia, I created a group. So that's an option too. If you look around and you find that there's nothing happening with the poetry scene, create something and see who shows up.
I definitely feel like that in all aspects of writing. Like if you're looking for something, you can't find it, why not create it? So what were some of the things that you did to sort of draw in your people? Like the people that you wanted to connect with?
First was the location. I didn't want to use a bar because I wanted people who didn't drink too to want to come up.
Sure.
And plus with bars, there's like they might want to charge like a door fee, and there might be other
Yeah,
barriers that come into play that
definitely. Yeah.
might not work with someone who's just a poor poet who wants to read a poem.
Right.
So we talked to the owner of the local art center,
Hmm.
and she was totally down. She was cool, and she was very supportive of the arts.
Right.
And she didn't have anything that was like writing or poetry related, so she was excited to work with us. So that was the first step. And then we just kind of let it be a kind of an organic thing. I didn't do this alone. So it was myself and three other people who started it. And we would, put the ads in like the college paper and the local paper, post stuff up in the area and things like posters and things like that.
Cool.
At the time, I feel like we had a message board and a MySpace maybe.
Oh,
So,
wow.
oh
All
yeah,
right.
we're
Oh,
we're
yeah,
going
I
old
gotcha.
school.
I
We're
see
going
where
old
we're
school
at.
here. You know, that's some Yahoo messages. Yes.
Excellent.
But basically utilizing social media.
Yeah.
And we would offer free snacks and drinks. So we would bring in like it wasn't, gourmet fare, but
Right.
just a little nibble. And as we went along and kind of gained traction, we started to find poets who were in town, who have been published, who were fairly known, who would come be kind of like the closer of the evening.
Oh, that's pretty
So
cool. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
we were able to use someone's name to kind of draw people in.
Yeah, what a great idea.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
And so
I'm
that was
really turned
more
proud.
that was like an open mic reading. Did you guys do any type of workshopping on your poetry, or was just sort of share to work and feel that support?
That was just for sharing the work and feeling the support.
Yeah. I mean, it's so important. It's great. That's awesome. So that's going back to MySpace days.
Yeah, taking it back.
And so where did you go from there? Were you writing novels at the time, or were you always writing both, or was it like you did poetry for a while and then you started to feel like you wanted to get into fiction?
Well, I started writing poetry at like just like a lot of people when I was, 12 or
Right.
11 or so.
Yeah.
And, there was the poem about the boy who broke my heart because I
Just
loved him.
one? There had
And
to be more than one poem about the boy who broke your heart.
this was the one,
Right.
the poem.
I
Oh my
got
gosh,
you. Got you.
so much angst. And so I continued writing poetry, and I got my undergraduate in news editorial journalism
Oh, wow.
and continued writing poetry. And then I worked for a newspaper, realized that I was not for newspaper writing,
Mm.
and then went back to school to get a master's in social work.
Oh, wow.
Still writing poetry. And then
Yeah, of course.
and things took an interesting turn, and I worked at I've had a lot of jobs in addition to writing, so I did a lot of different jobs that were within the social work kind of umbrella. So I
Okay.
worked at domestic violence shelters.
Oh, boy.
I worked with people with disabilities, trying to help them to find employment. And yeah, those were the two major kind
That's
of
amazing
sets that
work,
I worked
Tamara.
in.
That's really great stuff. I mean, hard stuff, but
That was the thing. I very much deeply empathize with people,
oh,
and
boy.
I couldn't
Shake it.
separate my yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
separate it.
Mhm.
And I realized if I do this for the rest of my life, I am
Right.
going to burn out
Yeah, for sure.
because
For sure.
I couldn't figure out how to have that type of distance. I just don't. It's just
Yeah,
not
I'm
part of
I'm
my
I'm on
emotion
that
makeup.
same wavelength. It is so hard. I envy people that can. There's a plus and minus, right, to both ends of it. To feel the empathy, of course, there's a power in that, but it's not, like you said, it's really not sustainable at all.
No, it's not. And it would feel very defeating because it always felt like there was more to do, less
Yeah,
money,
yeah,
and it was just
of
it was
course.
just a struggle. It was just a struggle. And I ended up moving out of West Virginia and moving here to Honolulu with my now fiance.
Wow. That's a big move. Was it like for work for him, or just like you guys, it was a dream and you made it happen?
It was for work for him. He's working on
Okay.
his doctorate in math.
Oh,
And
woo. Oh.
My goodness, that's my former lifetime. I was a math teacher. Oh,
Oh,
lovely.
really?
Yes, yeah. For over a decade, I was a high school math teacher in New York
Wow.
City public schools. Yeah. So, and there was a moment where I went for my master's in mathematics, like pure, and then I was like, I can't do this and teach. There's so much of my brain that's gonna explode. But that's amazing. So, okay, so he's out there for math. Yay! I love it.
Yeah, we speak two different languages, but it's
Hmm.
fine. When we came out here, I started with working with people who were homeless and trying to find them homes.
Oh boy.
And that is a huge problem here. And being from a small town, I didn't realize how big it was here.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I I this is going to sound dramatic, but I had a really big I don't know, they call it a coming to Jesus moment, but I'm
Right.
not
Right.
very religious, but all right. But I had a really big moment where I was very ill. I had pulmonary embolisms,
Oh boy.
which I was rushed to the hospital. I had all of these blood clots in my lungs,
Oh my God.
and
Bless.
I
Yeah.
was hospitalized for 2 weeks. And then I was on oxygen tanks for 2 months afterwards.
Wow, Tamara. Wow.
But after that,
Mm-hmm.
I realized, you know what? If I'm going to do this writing thing, I'm just going to have to go ahead and do it
Yep. Yep.
because nothing is promised.
God bless you, man. It's a struggle and a half. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it really brought everything into focus for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like my energy was kind of scattered and it was going in a million different places, but that really kind of synergized it for me to think, okay, there's never going to be a right time.
Right.
There's never a right time. There's never a perfect time. It's always going to be messy. So
Yes. Yes.
just do
Yes.
it now and get
Right.
used to the mess.
Yes. This is what one of my mantras that serves me sometimes and bites me in the butt other times is the do it badly. Like just do it badly because you'll learn as you go. And I think that was the permission that I sort of needed. It's like, yeah, I'm not fully trained as a writer. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. And as I move along, I will continue to learn. So you are all over the place, and I love this. I think you and I first met back in the day on Twitter. I think I may have connected with you in a Story Damn chat, but then discovered the Write Stuff chat. But I know that you, in your story, you say that it was not originally your chat. You sort of took that on from somebody else. So how did you end up doing the Write Stuff community? Because it's a chat, it's a Facebook community. It's, you got a lot going on there, and it's really valuable to writers, I think, of all levels.
Thank you. I hope it is. Um, I really just participated in the chat one night, and
Mm,
it was at a point with Twitter where the hashtags for writing groups would actually trend,
yes. Yes.
which I don't think
Why
that
isn't
happens
that
anymore.
happening anymore? I know. I've been noticing a lot of people get a lot of response from the hashtag writing community, which seems like very
Mhm.
general, but people are, responding. So that's great. But I do remember being in chats and part of the chat being we're number one trend. And I was like, wow, that's something. That's really saying something.
Yeah, there's actually people who are finding us through the trending page, but that
Exactly.
never happens anymore. I don't know. I guess the algorithm was tweaked in a way that we were tweaked out.
So
But
sad. Because that was a really, really great discovery tool for people, I think.
I think so too. That's how
Yeah.
I found Right Stuff. I'm almost positive that I just saw it that it was a trending thing and I was like, what does that mean? Let me
Right.
find out.
Yeah, because it has right in there. It must be
Yeah.
for me. I love right stuff.
Yeah,
That
I love to write stuff, so that must be where I'm supposed to
must be.
be.
Right.
So at that time, there was a couple different people who would kind of rotate hosting the chat,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
when they did it, it was more of, I don't know, it was almost like they were kind of shouting into the void, and then people would answer, but there wasn't
Mm,
any real structure to it.
gotcha.
And then their interest kind of waned, and then no one was hosting it, and it was maybe a month and a half,
Mhm.
and I talked to Andy. She was she was the one who originated it. I was like, hey, if you don't want this hashtag, I'll totally run this. And she's like, go for it. And I was
Yeah,
like, all right.
it was too good, right, stuff to just let it linger. Yeah, that's a great catch there, Tamara. I love it. Awesome.
But I changed the format a lot. Like I gave it a format.
Yeah, which is great. I think that's really the best way to run these chats and get great participation from people that are, I always try to tell people there's like two types of Twitter chats going on. There's the ones that just like, yeah, we're all in it, we're all writing. Writing driving me crazy today, or oh, it was awesome. And then there's the chats like yours, and I participate in Storycrafter on the weekends, and Story Jam when Twee is running it, where you really feel like you're talking craft or you're learning something, you're getting something, you're taking your writing, some aspect of the writing, whether it's the actual writing or the marketing or what have you, to like the next level. I've learned so much in all these Twitter chats, when they're structured in that way. So that's it's a great service for the people, for us that are participating. Those of you who take on that role, I'll just say thank you on behalf of us all.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm just glad that it's actually helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
At first, there was no one coming. I was literally shouting into the void, and no one was shouting back. And I thought, how do I get people to talk to me? How do
Yeah.
they do this?
Mhm.
And then a friend of mine, and it was such a simple and brilliant idea. She said to me, sometimes people might see that you're writing and they'll see the questions, but they don't realize that you actually want them to speak. So
Right.
just ask them to talk. And I was like,
Right.
what? Well, okay. So
It
that's why
seems so silly.
it
Yeah.
seems so silly,
Give
but
me
it
permission to
worked.
talk, please. Right.
So that's why with each greeting, I always say hi, so I'm not alone,
Oh,
because
I
I
love
was
it.
so alone. I
Right.
mean, it was like being locked in a closet with no
Oh,
light. I
man.
was just like, where are people?
Right.
I know you were here like
You were
3 months
here a
ago.
minute ago, right?
What happened? So by doing that, then I was able to get people to actually talk to me, which was amazing. It was like turning on the light switch. And
Right.
the more it went on, the more I realized that for me to do this, I needed to create a structure of some sort,
Okay.
just so I could have a sense of where this is going and how it's working, and so I could have basically a pattern for me to follow.
I've run, I've taken over for Twee a couple of times on the Story Jam chats, and having that structure was just like, okay, I'm not losing my mind here. I have something to follow,
It
but it's
makes it
very helpful.
so much easier. And then,
Yeah.
as I kept going, because I've hosted this for oh my gosh, I think it's 4 years now. But
Wow.
as I kept going, I realized I like having a monthly theme and then each week hitting a different topic underneath that theme's umbrella.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I felt like we were covering, I don't know, like a bigger chunk of the pie and getting more information out and kind of talking about more nuanced things. But it was still at a level that if you're a beginner or if you're a veteran, you could still talk.
Right.
That's what I've really struggled and tried to preserve with the chat. And I know sometimes I kind of hit and sometimes I miss, and that's okay. But I think that because there's so many different people with so many different perspectives who come to the table and tell their personal stories or their fears or share their ideas, I think it makes it a bigger space so that people who have, they agree or they disagree or whatever, they're kind
Yes.
of drawn into the conversation. I have so many people who tweet answers to the questions for days afterwards.
I'm
And
a hashtag late to the chat person all the time.
but I think
All the time.
I love it though, because that means that there's something that's drawing you in, even if the chat's not actively happening. You
Yeah, I
still want
think
to
it's great because
participate.
a lot of times I'll do that and then it'll start just like when you're in the live chat, it'll just start this whole other conversation with people who are following you. I think these Twitter chats are such a powerful tool for us as writers because exactly what you just touched on. All of these writers at different levels, different experiences, everybody's sort of chiming in together. And it's just an area for us to share our experiences, and you learn so much. It's fantastic. We need a quick coffee break, don't you think? This podcast is sponsored by anyone who wants to buy me a cup of coffee. How do you do it? ko-fi.com/stopwritingalone. Thanks so much for everyone who's already donated. Back to our episode. Before we go into Twitter forever, because I really could talk about Twitter forever.
Same.
I did not I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, I was saying to my husband, I don't think I've really been using YouTube at all in terms of even as a consumer, as a writer. My husband has YouTube on all the time. My son, of course, he's 4. So he's got, he loves all his little number blocks and everybody that he's watching from Britain on YouTube. So maybe that's it. Maybe I'm like, well, everybody else has it. I don't need to like hone in my time. But here I am looking at your website, and then I stumble across you have this amazingly dense YouTube page that you're not only doing what I think I've always expected from a YouTube, from a vlogger, is just like where you're just speaking out to the world and we sit and listen. But you have a lot of interaction and community happening on your YouTube channel, and that's amazing. So first of all, how did that happen? Were you seeking community through YouTube?
I was seeking community. I started doing that when we moved here, and I didn't
Okay.
really know anybody. And at first, I thought that I would kind of make videos and send the links to my family and friends so they could know that I was safe and I was
I
okay.
got you. Yes, I love it. Especially, I mean, as I learned with setting up this interview, the extreme time difference between Hawaii and the mainland.
Yeah, I just wanted a way to kind of share my experience with them. And then I kind of stumbled on a few little communities. They weren't writing communities because that really wasn't a thing at that time,
Right.
but they were just like little challenges and things that people were doing to just kind of chat with
Gotcha.
each other.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
So then I was doing that, and that was fun. And I started to not feel as nervous in front of a camera because I'm not a camera person, you
Oh,
know.
well, you had to hear me when I started this podcast. The first like week, every time I turned on the microphone and I'd be like, "Hi, this is Nicole Rivera," and then like 2 seconds later, have to pause it, rewind, listen, crack up. I'm like, this is not working. I can't even listen to myself. So it's really funny how you're just not that, and then you just have to keep going. You have to beat it into yourself.
Yeah,
So I
you
get
really
it.
do.
Yeah.
But my very first video, I am sitting on my bed and I didn't move. I don't know why, but I thought that if I don't know, I just didn't move my head, I didn't move my arms. I look like a
A
talking
still photo.
statue. And I'm just like, "Hi, my name is Tamara, and if I move, I might die." So I'm just like, it was so bad.
I
So
love it.
bad.
I love it.
So whenever someone's talking, they're like, "Ah, I can't do video." I'm like, "Well, look at this. It's okay.
Right, right.
You get better." And
Right.
oddly enough, they find it very reassuring. So it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's, I have a novel that's, in the query trenches right now. But I had originally, when I first wrote the first draft and thought it was like ready, back in my
Oh,
Clueless days, I put maybe the first 3 chapters on Wattpad. And I have been through so many revisions since then. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I put whatever number of chapters it was that was there, I put the same amount of chapters of the revised up next to it. And this is all I have on Wattpad. But I wrote this whole intro of like, I just want you to know what I thought was acceptable versus what happened with time and experience and practice and everything. So what, it's like whatever you think is horrendous and can never be better. It's just, we all had that. I wish authors, I mean, it's a ridiculous thing to ask for, but I wish authors would give you a sneak peek of their first draft, just so you know, like, oh, even they have that crazy first draft that's utter nonsense. You know what I mean?
Oh my
So
gosh, yes.
I think that
I
gives a lot of confidence, but go ahead. Yeah.
I think that's an awesome thing for you to do because, it's like when people talk about, don't compare your real life to someone's Instagram feed. It's the exact same idea. You write a thing and then you're comparing your first or second draft to someone's like beautifully tweaked book.
That was worked on by like a team, and
Yeah.
like what, it's crazy, but it's so hard not to do that because we never see their first drafts. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's why when I went to Wattpad to like update it, I said, you know what? I'm leaving that nonsense there because I truly believed it was worthy of being there. And it was for that time. Like that was the best that I had. But I just love the idea of being able to show someone, if anyone even bothers to look, that progress happens like that. So it's pretty cool. So I love that your video is out there to give future vloggers that same vote of confidence. It's
Yeah,
great.
it gets better. You have to start
Yeah.
somewhere.
So, and now on YouTube, so now you have, like, first of all, I saw you doing a lot of stuff with when Nanowrimo comes around. Are you going to do Camp Nanowrimo this,
Oh,
what is it, in
yes.
April or?
Yes. And I'm definitely going to do it just next month. And I can't even believe it's already here pretty much.
I can't either. I that is my favorite. I won one NaNoWriMo, but I have won a number of Camp NaNoWriMos. I really love the cabins and all that. Even, just it's nothing. It's like a little shout out to, what is it, 12 people, but for some
Mhm.
reason that works for me. Even when I don't necessarily know them beforehand. But yeah, I plan to do this April, which, yes, as you said, is next month. How is that possible?
I have no idea. I'm still at January, so.
Right. I'm lucky I found out it's 2019. Please.
But I like camp too because it's way less structured than NaNoWriMo.
Hmm.
So you can go ahead and you could do your editing or what have you. And I like the kind of community aspect is it's just it feels more relaxed in one sense, but in another sense, you're able to connect with people in a different way because of the cabins. I really like that. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'll probably host a cabin this year again, and I'll be making videos about it. And I like to do writing sprints on the channel, so I'll live stream for 2 hours or so and
Wow.
do writing sprints with people.
And then did I see correctly? Is it called Writing Workshop that you're doing now? It was the Ninja newsletter?
Oh yeah, writing workshop. It's a new thing that I just started. And that was like the first test run, but it was so great that we're definitely going to do it again.
Yeah, that looked really, really cool. Is that something that you guys are still looking for people to join up with you, or you have your group and this is what you're going to produce as you go forward?
I'm not sure if we're going to bring in new people, but I definitely want people to read the books and chat with us about it because that's what it's about. We're taking one book per month because, all right, I don't know if you do this, but I buy so many books about writing, marketing,
I'm staring at a pile in
like
front of me. Yeah, I have a
so many
problem.
books, so many books, so many. And I was looking at my Kindle, my Kindle
Mm,
app, and all of my list of writing and writing adjacent books, and I was
right.
like, this is crazy. I've read two of these books.
Yeah.
How can I make myself read more of these? And
Right.
I was like, oh, if I create something where my friends are going to be involved and I'm going to have a camera in front of me, and I can't just say, well, I just don't feel like writing it today or reading it today because I have to
Yeah.
because I'm going to be
There's
talking
a
about it.
deadline.
Yeah, it's a
Yep.
deadline.
Yeah.
It's a harsh deadline that
Well,
has a
that's why
camera.
I cracked up because I started watching, and you were like, "Yeah, I was gonna do this all month," and I read it last night, and I was like, "Yeah, that's how it goes, doesn't it? We all end up doing that." But you read it now, so it's
Exactly.
already a win. So that's fantastic.
And oh my goodness, for anyone who's listening and you are interested in starting a newsletter, read Newsletter Ninja. It is
Yeah, I have one, and
beautiful.
I saw that book. I was like, "Oh, I need to get in on this book." So that's it's on my TBR list, and I'm like you. I'm looking for a way to force myself to read. So I will definitely get on this
It is
newsletter ninja.
seriously so useful. All of us have been changing up our newsletters and planning things out
Okay,
just from reading that book. And
really,
yeah,
that's
and
great.
like the way she wrote it, it's very, very informative.
And who wrote that? I didn't
Her
actually
name
take note
is
of.
Tammy LaBrake.
Okay, cool.
But Newsletter Ninja, it comes right up. And it's
Right.
just so valuable. I've just changed the way I'm looking at my newsletter, and it's just great.
Mm.
So this month we are reading Right to Market, because I wasn't sure what we were going to do or how it was going to work out, and they loved it. Like
Okay.
they
Yeah.
they loved it, and I loved it, and then the people who were involved in the chat also enjoyed it.
I guess that's my question. Because I saw the YouTube like already on your channel, but are you setting like a date and time where that's being live streamed and people are chiming in, in a sort of chat as it's going on? Or is it just something that you record previous and then we could comment in the comments section?
We have decided that it's the last Saturday of each month, and
Okay.
it's at 9 a.m. Hawaii. So whatever that is for everybody else.
Oh, well, I've learned that one for this chat. That would be 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
This one was really tricky to figure out a good time because I'm over here, and then
Yeah.
our friend Alina, she's in Romania,
Oh my
and I was
goodness.
like,
Oh boy.
okay, how do we
Right.
meet somewhere in the middle where I'm not
Yep.
talking in front of a camera at 6 a.m.? how do we
Right.
how do we figure this out?
Because you'll have to see me.
Yeah. Like right now, you guys, I just woke up. I look like a mess, but you don't have to see it. It's great.
Right. Podcasting power.
Mhm. Living for it. But yes, so this book is called Right to Market. It's by Chris Fox. It's Right to Market, Deliver a Book That Sells.
Cool. Is your YouTube officially under Tamara Woods now? Like that's how we would find you?
Yeah,
Or
that's how
do
you
we?
find me, Tamara Woods.
Yeah.
You do a search, and there's other Tamara Woodses, but I have like 400 videos, so
Right.
you'll know.
And that's just where anyone can go on the last Saturday of the month to view the stream as it's happening.
Yes, and then
Cool.
while it's happening, you can write in the comments, and we chat with you.
I love it.
And it's fun. It's a fun way to have kind of a book talk. And there's other book talks on YouTube, but they're mostly focused on fiction.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to focus specifically on writing books because my gosh.
It's something that I have been wanting to do forever. Right before I had gotten pregnant, I had pitched the idea to Story Dam. I said, I feel like we should have a book club on the, craft books. I know we all have them.
Oh yeah.
Like we just need to start exactly like you said, forcing ourselves to sit and read them and discuss them because that's it's what we all want to do, right?
Yeah. And it's
But when you
useful.
have to do something for yourself, you maybe like put it to the side and it's incredibly useful. I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for all of the books that I read, just starting out on writing down the bones, Bird by Bird, all the classically
Bird by Bird. I love
beautiful,
it.
right? Oh my gosh, I can't. I still have it. Mine is covered in notes and I don't know what the heck I did to that poor book. But oh my goodness, it's really I'm really loving what you're doing on YouTube, and I'm excited to sort of get involved because, like I said, it's a piece of the puzzle that I don't know why I haven't been there, but I haven't been there. So we've talked Twitter, we've talked some poetry, we've talked YouTube. What am I missing here? Well, could you tell me a little about mystery? I imagine you're a big mystery reader.
I started reading mysteries. Okay, I can tell you exactly when I started reading mysteries. I was in the 6th grade, and
Wow.
I was in the library because
Mhm.
shocking, I always spent a lot of time in libraries.
Gasp.
I know, right? And I remember that I read every single copy of Nancy Drew that we had at the library. I
Right.
think it was Dunbar Middle School. And
Nice.
our librarian, may she rest in peace, Miss Delegati, I remember when I went to her and I said, "Are we getting any more Nancy Drews?" And she looked so sad. And she
Oh,
said, "Honey, I don't think that we can."
oh my
And she
God.
started like showing me different mysteries and things.
Okay.
And
Cool.
and
Right.
I've been reading them ever since, on and off. But I didn't realize that that was kind of the cozy mystery genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like watching Murder She Wrote. Like,
Right.
every Sunday, my whole entire family would watch Murder She Wrote.
Awesome.
And even though my dad would always talk so much smack because he's like, every time she shows up, somebody
Right.
dies. Why is she not arrested?
Right. You picked
which
up on a
is
pattern.
which is an actual thing. It's called the
Right.
Cabot Cove syndrome,
Oh my
where
God.
you have a cozy mystery that, because generally speaking, they're set in small towns, right?
Okay.
But if you have the same small town and you've written
Mm,
20 books and there's
right.
always a murder, and with this 500 to 500 populated town, like,
Right.
there's a problem.
Questions will be raised.
Yeah. So it's like that's one of the things you have to look out for. So with cozies, it's usually a female protagonist.
Okay.
That's not always the case, but that's like, that's the
Right.
convention. And she is just a normal Joe like you and me, out here living her life. So she's not a professional PI or,
Okay.
police officer or anything like that. She's just normal, average, everyday Joe who stumbles upon a murder and then kind of inserts herself into the investigation for
Gotcha.
whatever
Gotcha.
reason.
Love it.
I wrote this book called Blood Roses and Honeysuckles, and I published it last September. And it was like my white whale, this book that I've been
Mm,
working on for 10 years or so. And
right.
even now, I'm still like, did I say what I wanted to? I'm not sure.
Right.
And that's a women's fiction novel. And after it was done, I kind of sat there, because after you've had a project that you've been working on for an incredibly long time and it's finished, it's like you're happy, but also you're sad. And you're like, well, now what? I realized I wanted to write something that was a little lighter. So I just wanted to explore small towns in a more positive way than in Blood Roses. And I wanted to look at like relationships and friendships and take on different themes that I did with this other book. And with the cozy, there's a lot of room for silly if you want to go that route, or if you want to
Mm-hmm.
make it serious, you can. And there's all these different little subgenres in it. Like, so there's just a lot of fun and a lot of room to play. And I realized that I wanted to write. I want to write all the time and I want to self publish, but I also want to have fun with it.
Right. Right.
So this felt like a good place to have some fun with my writing.
Yeah, I think that's so. I find myself tossing back and forth between the same, that I have these story ideas that are like, yeah, serious. You're going through all the drama of what this big tale is. And then I do have these moments where I'm like, I have to remember, like, I could literally do anything, and that means I can be ridiculous if I want to.
Mhm.
And just giving into that sort of freedom is great because it is so much fun.
And it's nice to allow yourself to have fun with it.
Right,
'Cause,
right.
I've thought a lot about potentially looking for a full time job or something else to do. And I keep coming back to just concentrating on the writing and making it work because I love it, but also I can have a good time with it.
Right. I'm
And
the same. That's the kind of where I'm at right now, that I'm at this moment where a decision needs to be made, and it's either like dive in, or do something else. And I'm like, no, I'm going to dive in. This is fun. This is where I want to be. So that's wonderful.
so I just released a cozy novella. It's called Wiped Out. And I mean just released as in Saturday.
And where can we find it?
You have to sign up to my newsletter. Is right now
Okay.
it's a freebie for the newsletter, and then it's only temporarily going to be free, and then it'll
Okay.
be available on Amazon. But
And I know we can sign up for your newsletter on your website. Is it tamarawoods.com or is
TamaraWoodsAuthor.com, because
author.com?
Tamara Woods wasn't available.
Yeah, as a Nicole Rivera, I understand the not being available thing. That's a hard get. So I don't want to take your entire morning, but I've been, I'm in a lot of different writing communities, and I kind of interact with writers of all different levels. And I don't know if you've heard of Scribbler. Have you heard of the Scribbler box? You know, all these subscription boxes that are out there now?
I have heard of it, but I haven't looked into it.
So I got a subscription for Christmas, and it's been a lot of fun because one of the things that they do is that thing that I was saying, where they show you kind of like a sneak peek of the process of the book going through publishing. They give you a novel every month, and they give you a little worksheet that comes with it that has like the query letter and some of the editing notes and notes from the author. So it's a fun
Oh,
sort of
wow.
box. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then they have like these cute little like writerly things, stickers, like I'm a writer. I got a cute little winter hat, which would not be useful to you in Hawaii, but for me, I've been wearing it all winter. But anyway, there's also a Facebook community, and I don't think you need to subscribe to be in the Facebook community Scribbler, but there's a lot of new writers there. And somebody asked a question, I think it was last week. They said, okay, everyone, it's time for the dreaded question. We're all talking about finding writer friends, people that we can connect with. And you're all saying, yeah, I found them online. But what does that mean? But I'm just wondering, what is your advice to a very new writer like that is either, just, I don't know, there seems to be this like disconnect between joining these communities and the next level of writing buddies. Does that question make sense at all?
It does make sense.
Okay.
My
Good.
advice
Whew.
would be so let's see if I can stammer through advice that actually makes sense. Okay. When I was trying initially to find friends online, first of all, I wasn't really sure what I was doing or how it would work or how it would look. So know that you're not alone. That's
Right.
very, very typical because we all start somewhere. You probably have a social media thingy that you like. So whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, those seem to be the big three that people kind of gravitate toward one or the other. And if that's the case, then go to the place where you find that you are the most comfortable. And with Facebook, you would try searching for different groups and trying to join different groups and just seeing what happens in those groups, if you like how they kind of have the situation set up, and start participating. And by participating, you'll eventually start talking to people. With
Right.
Instagram, there's hashtags. There's also monthly challenges within the writing community where someone will create some type of meme, and each day you'll post a different thing. So like right now I'm doing hashtag write into spring, and
Okay.
let's see, like day one was introduce yourself. You know, yesterday was introduce your writing tools, or what writing tools do you use. I don't know what today is yet because I haven't done it yet, but but it's so there's things like that happen every month. There's also a metric crap ton of hashtags that you could use
Mhm.
with your Instagram posts to bring people into what you're doing and for you to go and find other people. And hashtags are, of course, huge with Twitter as well. And with Twitter, as we've discussed, there's the tweet chats. So with each of these individual social media groups or outlets, they're kind of like have their own little way of entering into the sphere in real time, in your actual reality that's outside the internet. I mean, I guess that happens. But
Maybe. Who
maybe,
knows?
I don't know. One place I would start with would be the library,
Mm,
because librarians know resources that's in your community.
yeah.
Also, if you use meetup.com, there's often a local shut up and write.
Yes.
And so that's a really good way to meet people. And there's also with NaNoWriMo or National Novel Writing Month, there's local groups for that as well. And like with ours, there's weekly meetings for Nano. Even off season, they still will meet up and have like a little writing session together.
Oh, that's great.
So there's tons of ways to find other people. Just let it happen organically. Don't feel pressured to make everything work all at once. Just take your time and you're going to find people because there's always someone looking for someone new to talk to.
All right. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Like I said, I don't want to take your whole morning, so I do want to wrap up. But is there any last bit of advice, anything that I haven't addressed either about writing or writing community that you think, I don't know, someone who's ready to stop writing alone needs to hear?
You know, I understand where you're at. It is really frustrating to write by yourself and it can be really lonely. But as solitary as a event writing your book or your story or your poem is, you can have community and you can feel like you're welcome and that you're safe and warm and it's a nice place to be. You can find people to write with you. And, you know, you can always come every Tuesday on Twitter to hashtag writestuff at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll definitely welcome you with open
That was
arms.
going to be my next bit here. So we have the Write Stuff chat that happens on Twitter Tuesday nights. And then you also have the YouTube, the writer workshop. That's the last Saturday.
Yes, last Saturday at 9 a.m. Hawaii, which is 2 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. And then you're wiped out right now. You said we can get through your newsletter, which we said would be on your website. Is there anything else that you want to pitch to everybody so everybody can find you and find your stuff and support you? Yeah, give everybody a quick rundown of where they can find all things Tamara Woods.
So I am on Amazon. You could just search for Tamara Woods. And on there, I have the book that I was talking about, Blood Roses and Honeysuckles. I also have a poetry collection, a poetry anthology, and a short story horror collection that was an interesting, very interesting project. And I am very much out here on these internets. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's at Pen Paper Pad. That's probably the one I'm at the most. And sign up for my newsletter. That's where I probably reach out a little bit more in a personal way. So if you want to learn more about me as a person.
Well, Tamara, I cannot thank you enough for taking this time today. I feel like I took a huge chunk of your time today,
this was great.
It's been really, really great for me personally. I just love hearing everything that you've done and are doing. And thank you so much. I look forward to hearing what everybody's got to say, and I'm sure we're going to have some new people over at Write Stuff and signing up for the newsletter. And for me, you'll be finding me on YouTube now finally for the first time, so this is exciting.
Come on over.
Very exciting for me, forcing me to read. I love it. And I've been sitting here sipping my coffee. What has been your morning drink here while we have spoken through this hour?
Ice water.
Ice water, so refreshing. What a good way to start the day. So much better than what I'm doing to myself.
Next is the coffee. It was percolating.
Gotcha. Love it. Well, go enjoy your coffee. Thank you so much again. And we'll connect. We'll be out there online. I'll be talking to you soon.
Oh, definitely.
Thank
you for having me.
Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Stop Writing Alone podcast wherever you're listening to this episode today. Then connect with us on Facebook at Stop Writing Alone Facebook page or in the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. Check Instagram or Twitter where I'm at NV_Rivera to find links to our email newsletter. Happy writing. See you next week.